LaTosha Brown. She is the co-founder of the Black Voters Matter Fund, also the founder and co-anchor of the Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium, and is the 2019 Harvard Institute of Politics Fellow. She joins us this morning in Atlanta, Georgia. LaTosha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you are a leader, obviously, in the voting rights movement. Talk to us about the significance of this choice, Joe Biden choosing Kamala Harris.
It is such a historic moment for so many reasons. You know, just a couple of days ago, we actually celebrated the 55th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act and the voting rights movement that happened in this country. We're also close to the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement that happened in this country, in which Black women were a part of that, but it really was only 50 years. It took more than 50 years later for us to secure our right. And so while we have been the backbone of the Democratic Party for the last 50 years, we have not seen a Black woman be placed in the position of vice president, president, or even on the Supreme Court. So having Kamala Harris on the ticket energizes Black women. It actually affirms our work. It acknowledges that Joe Biden is actually a candidate that is going to be a transformative candidate. And it's actually really significant. I think it's going to make a difference in the campaign, and it's going to make a difference in terms of how voters are excited to show up. And I also think it's going to be a difference around what is building reflective democracy in America, that we're going to actually be able to see ourselves in many of those positions of power. And so I'm really excited and looking forward to that.
Well, we certainly know that the message keeps being repeated at every election. If Black voters in America came out, they can make the kind of change they want to see. So what are you hearing right now from Black voters?
You know, what I've been hearing all the while, and that's why we were pushing for there to be, we've been really diligent. Black women have been diligent around pushing for there to be a Black woman on the ticket, that there needed to be some excitement, that right now, you know, in this energy that we're going through, the COVID-19, as you know, has devastated America and has had a particular kind of impact on our communities. In addition to that, there's the economic issues that go along with that has actually impacted our community. But also we're in this very racial, intense moment right now. And so we've had uprisings in all 50 states. People are tired of the racism, the racist rhetoric from President Trump. They're tired of the division. They wanted something that was different, that was more reflective of the spirit and the energy and the possibilities of America. And so when I talked to Black voters, they were saying, we want to see something different. We want to see someone really have the ability to talk about racism and actually create policy and shape policy to address that. And so I think that the history of what we've been seeing in Kamala Harris, even in her career as a senator, that I think she has a track record of showing that, and that gives people hope. So all last night, my phone, I couldn't even sleep last night. My phone kept ringing. I kept getting text messages. People who I've been talking to really feel a new sense of energy and a new sense of really like this idea that we can win this election. We're going to win this election, and there's going to be the possibilities of having a new, more inclusive and just America.
Well, you know, you mentioned this moment in American history. You mentioned just how tense things are around the issues of race. So I'm wondering, are you expecting a particularly nasty campaign, Harris being a racialized woman, but already people seem to be bracing themselves for a lot of sexist and racist attacks here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we saw that even in the nomination process. You know, I was one of 700 women that actually wrote a letter, because a public letter, and actually published, and we were very vocal about some of the attacks that we saw coming at Senator Harris. Some from even Democratic leaders. And so part of what I think is going to be important, we're still in America. We're in America that has a nation that has a long road to travel as it relates to racial justice and healing. And America, that when we think about the majority of the population in this country are 52% women, yet we represent we're the majority, yet we represent less than 13% of the congressional and the legislative, the high levels in office. So there is a major issue at the intersection of racism and sexism. You know, the beautiful thing about, I think, having Senator Kamala Harris as a VP pick, that I believe that whenever you break glass ceilings, you allow light to come in and other people come right behind you. So I think that we're on the dawn of some new possibilities that can exist in America, that not just with Senator Kamala Harris as VP, but also on other down ballot races. And I hope a generation of women and young girls looking at her, right, will stand in their ambition and in their brilliance and also seek to run for office and positions of power.
Okay, I have about a minute here, but I do want to ask you, presume that the Biden-Harris ticket wins in November. What role do you think Kamala Harris is going to play here? Do you think she's going to be given the lead role in perhaps addressing systemic racism in the United States?
I certainly do. I think that she's going to bring a depth of understanding around racial justice. I think she's going to bring a depth of understanding around some of the changes we need in the criminal justice system. So I'm really looking forward, and we're also looking for an agenda that is really going to center working class people in this country and people of color.
LaTosha Brown, thank you for that. Appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me.
And LaTosha Brown, the co-founder of the Black Voters Matter Fund and founder and co-anchor of the Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium.